Michael just sent it. Welcome to the Power Tools and Profit Podcast. I am Zach Wendt, your host, joined with Michael Gabriel. And today, Michael, we got a special guest. I look like I'm looking at a younger, more handsome version of myself. Introduce our guest.
Yeah, so this is Ian. Ian, tell us a little bit about where are you located in the U.S.?
So the easiest city is Kansas City, Missouri. I'm about 20 minutes away from the Chiefs Stadium. I'm in a small town, Pleasant Hill. So Kansas City is usually easier where people can figure it out on the map pretty quick.
All right, nice. I know Kansas City from Bo Jackson, so that's my guy back in the day. Do you hear the roar of the stadium?
I'm not that close. I can sometimes if the wind blows just right, hear the fireworks. So that's that. Yeah.
They say it's the loudest stadium of all NFL. Like, what do they call it? The Kingdom or something like that.
Yeah. Chiefs Kingdom. Yeah. I did a tour of it not too long ago, and we were down on the field and we yelled. There was like 6 of us and we yelled, and there was like maybe 8 people up in the stands doing whatever they're doing. They all jumped. So that the way that bowl, if you will, is conformed, it magnifies the sound, and it's pretty intense.
That's really cool.
awesome.
So you're a home service business. Exactly. Are you niche down? Do you do a whole bunch of stuff? Tell me a little bit about your business.
Yeah, so Patriot Deck Co. We just kind of restructured the name this year. Through first mistake, already finding out that there was somebody that was close to my other name with the emails and stuff. Yeah, I specialize in deck building. I've done everything myself my whole life. I started out doing remodeling. After I left, I was in a corporation business, worked my way all the way up to where I honestly never thought I was gonna get in life. Got there, and then started worrying and thinking about other things. And then finally the fear of sitting on the porch, being 80, wondering what if got to me. And I finally made enough courage to make the jump. We started out doing remodeling, custom bathrooms, almost anything in the house. I built my own house that I'm living in right now.
Nice.
Yeah, just finally kind of went for it, man. And now I've niched down to just building custom decks. Currently working with all different types of vendors. Recently got sponsored by TimberTech. So that's
Hey,
been pretty awesome. It's been a challenging journey, I will say, more mentally, to the point where I am starting to experience some of the physical parts of it, on my body and everything else. But it's been a pretty fun journey so far.
You know what's funny is we interviewed someone just a couple days ago, almost the same journey where he was working up white collar, getting there and just didn't love it. And I
Yeah,
wouldn't say
man.
he hated it. He just disliked it and wanted to go do something physical with his
hmm
hands. And so he jumped out of that, got into roofing
hmm
in Michigan, which right now I would show you out. So I will show you outside for those of you that are watching. Like there's like the 18
Yep.
feet of snow that we just got, which is awesome. But as a roofer, you're not doing too much roofing right now. But
Nope.
that's part of the power tools and profit model is like, what can we do when things like this happen? What can you do as you're getting older? Maybe the knees hurt a little bit more. Like
Yeah.
what is the crew? Are you a one-man show, Ian, or what does that look like?
Yeah, I had a couple young men working for me. They branched off and, went their kind of own route. Right now, I am still a one-man show. I've been doing this for about 4 years, niche down the last couple years to just doing decks, like I've said. And right now, that's the struggle point for me, to be honest with you. Do I want to go big? Do I want to stay where I'm at with the thought process that my body's only going to last for so long? I have other avenues and stuff I'm tiptoeing in right now as well, but that's my big thing for me. I don't know if you guys can see, but the whiteboard up on the office over there, the
Oh
quarters
yeah.
is 2026 goals. And right now I feel like for me, I'm on my own journey right now, more of a spiritual journey than anything. The one thing that I will tell anyone, if you're even getting into the entrepreneur world, it's going to be the biggest self-development thing you've ever done in your entire life.
Love
So
it.
it's opened up new avenues for me. A big one is spiritually. So right now I'm in the process of redefining all my processes to make sure that I'm dialed in. I've had significant good feedback from most of my customers that I do present and come across as a white glove project, if you will, or business. But for me, if we're being truthfully honest, it never really feels like that. I always see the room for improvement. And sometimes it gets to my own head, and how far do I really need to go? So that's been my biggest struggle and where I'm at right now. I am proud to say, though, that,
Actually, let's pause right here because a
yeah,
lot of owning a business is that mental game. Is I call it the drunk monkey chirping in your ear. You can't do this, or it's too tough,
Yeah.
or whatever your limitations are, it's just chirping in your ear. So, you're
Yeah.
thinking about maybe I take this thing to the moon. Like, what's going through your head? What are those limiting beliefs that you're telling yourself that you're fighting against?
Yeah. So for me, when I started out, I'm gonna be frank with you guys on what I did. And those of you that understand business, when it took me a long time to understand this too, is revenue is very different than net profit. So I don't have any problem
Sure.
telling. I don't have any problem telling you my net profit either. I mean, I've earned it all, so it is what it is. But my first year in business as remodeling, I did about $186,000, and that was me just jumping ship. I did that from a sofa. And then the next year it fluctuated a little bit to 168. We had some other avenues we're doing. I niched down to doing just decks, um, focusing on my skills, and I did $460,000 in revenue.
Mm.
Last year or 2 years ago, this last year, I topped out about 325. So what I would say to anyone, honestly, if you're thinking about it, man, just go, but it is a mental challenge. And right now I figured out that I'm going to confidently say between 325 and 425 probably is where I'm only going to be able to do this myself. So I specialize in high quality. If you guys have seen any of my videos and pictures and stuff, that's all me. I do have an art background. So all these
Awesome.
different avenues that I know that I'm capable of doing myself, it's what do I want to focus on passing on to somebody else first. And it's a scary factor as well, because you don't know what that person's going to do. And this is my baby, right? So I'm really in that zone right now of which way do I want to go. And to be honest with you, some days it is very scary. I've had to find, that energy that I don't know what to do with. That's where the push-ups and stuff like that come into play, because you got to get that energy out and use it for a positive. So that's really where I'm at.
I
Yeah.
love that, and, that was one of the biggest challenges in growing my business too, is getting into that leverage aspect, bringing people in. I have a friendly acquaintance of mine. I wouldn't call him a good friend, but he's a billionaire. A
Yeah.
billionaire, and that's one of the things he would tell me is that you can find somebody that can do something 80% as good as you can. You need to bring them into your world, even though, you are Ian, you're probably going to do a better job on the
Yeah.
deck than a guy that you're going to hire, but they can do it to a level that the customer is happy with. And this is the key to really scaling that business. Like, you could build twice as many decks, you could make twice as many phone calls to get the leads to come in, but at a certain point, you're going to burn out because there's only so much in the hours in the day that you can work this. And when we bring in that right kind of leverage, which part of that is the culture that we want to
Yeah.
protect. Do you enjoy working with these guys? When you see them, are you excited? Because for a season when I was building my business, it was basically the breath test. Like, if you can fog a mirror, come on, let's go, and we'll figure it out. We'll train you on the way. And like, I ended up not liking the crew that I'm working with, and so it just like it became a bad thing in my world. And
Yeah.
then letting some of those people go, some of them going out on their own, firing others, and then really protecting the culture. Like, what do we stand for? Like, Patriot Decking. I
Right.
imagine you're a flaming liberal, right?
You're the first person to ever say that to me, even as a joking matter.
I bet you're not, and neither am
Yeah.
I. And so, like, am I surrounding myself with like-minded people? Do we
Right.
enjoy working with each other on the job site? And the cool thing about that too, especially in this climate, is like, I would serve, the left, no problem, but like the people on the right, and you don't have to be divisive, but I'm saying when you are a little bit polarizing,
Hmm.
people will notice that. And especially
Yeah.
if you stand for something like these tepid, won't pick a side, like that's not inspiring, but you could attract the right kind of people and build something awesome and
Yeah.
serve people at a high level. So I like that. Like, so paint a little bit of the vision. I'm waving a magic wand, right? Like, you can be wherever you want to be in 5 years, 3 years, 5 years. You want to go to a multi-million-dollar company, you absolutely can do that. If the sky is the limit, where would you want to take Patriot Decking?
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When I talk about the future, I really do get kind of emotional. Just is what it is. So I'm gonna frame that out right now. I want to be able to affect change, and that's where the spiritual journey for me right now is. My own change. Get my own footing in before I can help somebody else's. But if I'm just free talking, like you asked, I don't have a thought of I want to help 10 people. I want to help 50 people. Whatever it is, it's more about showing people that they're capable of doing it. I've had visions, if you will, of, me standing on stage, talking to multiple people. What format that's in, I don't know. I've had a vision before of seeing my logo up on a building, having people coming out. I watch myself walking in to an office that has people that are like, they have their goals all outlined and what they are. And then we are focusing on those goals for the individual. I see myself not worrying about so much as to the customers as I worry about making sure that the individuals are hitting their personal goals. And I
Oh, I
believe
love it.
by focusing this way, I'm going to attract A players and they will take care of the business side of things. It's really important to me to keep moving forward. I don't know what 100% that looks like at the moment, but we're still going. And the way I see it is, if I only have a limited time here on Earth, so we're going to figure out which route we're going to go, even if it means we got to take a couple of them and back up. And that's kind of where we're at right now. The numbers sound really good. $460-some-odd thousand in revenue and stuff like that.
Sure.
But I will be honest with you guys, that has had some costs and limitations. My body has suffered a little bit, and my marriage has suffered a little bit. And that's where we're in the rebuilding stage right now. So to be able to hit our goals in our personal lives and our business lives, I understand more of what my goals are. And I do think they're obtainable by everyone. I think everyone needs a little more structure, and that's where I'm looking at now. And my biggest thing is, I've seen the structure. I read the books. I got a bookshelf right here next to me. And for those of you that, you just met me 2 years ago, if I would have told you I was going to have a bookshelf, I'd told you you're high as a kite, because there's no way. I don't like reading. But I will tell you this, I like learning. And once somebody
There it is.
told me that you have a year or a lifetime of an individual's accomplishments and what they've learned in a 2 hours or 200
Right.
pages worth of a book,
Right.
that was like, holy crap. So I'm looking over here, I got Traction, I got Rich Dad Poor Dad, I got what the good, Seth Godin Linchpin. I got all these different books over
You're
here that
naming
taught
all
me.
my books behind me.
Yeah, dude, that's the thing, is learning that there is kind of a route. And once you kind of stumble onto it, it seems like you can accomplish whatever you want. And that for me it opens up a whole new door. And I think that's what ultimately most people want. And I think if I steer towards that, the other accomplishments will come on, if that makes any sense.
I couldn't agree more. That same billionaire friend of mine, not all readers are leaders, but he'll say every single leader is a reader.
Mhm.
It's us bettering ourselves. Like, you'll
Yeah.
only be able to grow this organization, which sounds like you have a calling, not just a vision on where you want to go. It sounds like you got a calling to impact people's lives, which I love. You'll be able to grow that organization only to the level of leadership that you have.
Yeah.
And so if you're a 3, like you just said something that I love, like, I'm looking for A players. Why? Because then we can run hard. We can do awesome things, amazing things. We'll never attract A players if we're a B player. Or
Yeah.
even if we're even like, if we put it in numbers might be a better way to go. Like, if I'm an 8 on my leadership scale, I'm probably not
Yeah.
attracting that 7. I'll get that 6. I'll certainly get 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. But if I want those 9s and those 10s, then I have to become that.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
part of the game that we play.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
and right now restructuring everything to get to that, 9 and 10 level is what I'm looking at personally, which I feel like I'm my own worst critic by all means. And I feel like there's some areas that I need to improve on, the consistency as well.
One thing that I heard when you were saying about the books and like getting someone's whole life story or life experience in one book, I heard it from another perspective. It was the same thing, but it's like, think about it as you're building an army, and every book, that whole life experience you get is like another person in your army, so that when you come up against things, you can reference what you've learned from someone
Mhm.
else's experience. And then the question was, well, how big is your army? Are you gonna have a little army, or are you gonna have a
Yeah.
bigger army? And with the bigger army, that means you read more books, you got more of that knowledge. I think it was great. I think you hit on a couple things too early on when you're saying you niched down, right? You niched into this the deck side of things. I would like to know what made you do that. I mean, we hear all the time the riches are the niches. And if you say
Yeah.
you almost 4x your income just by switching, what made you choose going the deck route?
Fear, to be honest with you, fear's a big motivator. It's fear on both opposite ends. Like I said, I was doing remodeling. I was doing everything. I know how to do a whole bunch of things. God has gifted me with a whole bunch of talents. And for that reason, which one do I choose was limiting it for a while. And then I started to I feel like I'm fairly good with patterns and recognition of, it's kind of hard to explain to some people. But what I mean by this is, like, when I go into somebody's house and I rebuild your mantle and on your fireplace or your bathroom or whatever, I feel like personally for me, it wasn't, people were more picky and they don't seem to be as appreciative. And for me, I kind of noticed when I built the deck, people were always like, wow, this is awesome. I can do all this space. And they were more excited. They can bring their families out there. They can, host parties. They can have just a quiet space to watch, the sun, whatever it is. That attracted me more. And then obviously the profit margins were, let's be honest, we're doing this for a reason. They were a lot bigger,
Yeah.
but I'm just going to be honest with you. I felt more appreciative when I built bigger projects than I did smaller technical ones. So that kind of made me jump into that. My wife, she's very intelligent. I'm kind of I'll be honest, I'm kind of the dumb baby. It's, sometimes I'll read one of these books and I got to read a paragraph 3 times in a row because it just hamster fell off the wheel. So, she's been pushing me to do it. And I finally just kind of made the jump to go, and it's been really rewarding. It's, to where I've had people invest in me already, to where, I've only been Patriot technically for 1 year, and I already have a company that's one of the biggest, across the country is already investing in me. So I would say there is riches within the niches. It's scary. In the beginning, you're just trying to pay your bills, so you don't know what the right
Yeah.
decision, and you don't want to make the wrong decision. So that's what limited me for a little bit, is just that fear. But then, like I said, what got me to jump was the fear of what if I don't go? And for some reason, God's given me the ability to hit the gas pedal. Sometimes it takes a while, but I do hit the gas pedal.
I'll say a few things that I'm hearing you say. Like, number one, can I poke you a little bit?
Please.
All right, I'm gonna poke you a little bit. Like the negative self-talk, like that's something that I struggle with too. Like, I'm a dum-dum. No, you're not. Like, we got to change that and reframe that a little bit, because you are actively growing, brother. How many people read books? Like, there's very few of us out there. Like, you're actively growing. So like, watch that. And like, when you say that reframe that, like, I currently don't read at the level that I want to read at. Something that make it more true. The second thing, pro tip on this, when I got into books, I got into coaching businesses, right? And the organization I was in was elite. And I'm like, holy crap. So I got to really step up here. I used to be a huge reader, but then I didn't. I stopped reading books, and they expected us to read a ridiculous amount of books a year, like 50 books a year. And now I'll tell you what's really cool is I'll read well over 100 books a year. My pro tip is putting Audible in your ears with the physical book in your hand and putting it on 2x speed. Because then, like, my mind the same way, like, oh, I wonder if I should go bring my Jeep in the backyard. And then, like, my eyes read the thing, but my brain's thinking about going for a Jeep ride in my backyard with all the snow. I'm like, gosh darn it. And I got to go back to it. So if I got the audio in and the book, like, you'll crush books. And then taking
I heard
notes.
that. Yeah, I heard all that from Alex Ramosi a few times, about that hack. And it's worked very well with me.
Michael and I are in some of those circles that Hermosi's in, which is very smart dude. And the third thing, like with the business, like let's talk about that, because it sounds to me like, we're talking a little bit about God, right? And there's the parable of the talents. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but like, God gives you this talent, and some people, the first guy, he buries it and puts it in the ground. The second guy doubles it. The third guy doubles it too. And right, I believe, not just, business isn't just business, right? But like, if you're having an impact on these guys and the, girls, whatever, like, I'm not saying that, and you're helping them live a full lifestyle, like this is a multiplication of the talents. So talk to me a little bit about, what are you doing for marketing right now to grow the business so that we can attract the talent, feed the talent, because they need to have food with their meals. Like, what does it look like right now for you to get new jobs? What are you doing?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I've been pretty fortunate. I haven't really put a whole lot out there. We just now got the website up not too long ago. I have my trucks. Thank you. I have a good buddy who's trying to start his own business doing that kind of stuff, and he put it together. Very smart individual. But I have my trucks all dialed in. We look good when we go down the road. I have older vehicles, 2013, but they're clean. They don't look all beat up. So we try to look professional. This is a shirt that we'll wear on the job site, or that I wear on the job site. So we always look, have a uniform and everything like that. And then I've started recently putting out yard signs when I'm working in the area. And I actually just got these made. So we'll be passing these out along the neighborhoods and stuff that showcase some of the stuff we've done, some of our bigger projects and everything, and what a little bit about us. So the plan is to start casing that. And what I'm saying is, I'm in the very beginning phases of really going for it. And
every single job, you are walking down the right path. I love this. So I'm giving you a pat on the back. Like,
Thank you.
Especially when you're in affluent neighborhoods, like those people, the keeping up with the Joneses people, there's nothing wrong with being
Yep.
affluent, but like they're looking out, they're peering behind the curtain, like what are they doing over there?
Yep.
Like they got a new deck,
Hmm.
and like you put those out there, like, oh, they got a new deck. My deck's looking kind of tired. And so, oh my gosh, that is one of the best ways to build it.
Hmm.
And having your truck wrapped. I don't have you wrapped your truck, or what does it look like?
I decided not to go the wrapped. It just has my logo on the side of it, and then the phone number on the front nose, and then Patriot Deck Co on the back. I'm not a very. I thought about this, and I'm not a very flashy individual. I thought about that. There's books that talk about that, but at the end of the day, it's still I want it to be me as much as I want to grow, and I just want to stay true. Like I said, I haven't really needed to do. It's been amazing. I have a bunch of friends that have all pushed my content out for me, and all say, it's amazing how many people like, oh, I read about you on Reddit and you have great reviews. So I want you. And I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. Like, I'm not even doing this stuff. So I haven't really gone too crazy
I'm gonna
for it.
interrupt again. For those of you that are
Yeah.
listening, Reddit, really critical. Google's AI loves that. So if you can get stories on Reddit, oh my
Hmm.
gosh, like there's a lot. The AI jumped onto it for those nerds of you that are out there, because a lot of people would say something like, whatever the product is, Reddit reviews, and so the Reddit would be legit, and people would be talking about it. So the AI pulled that in there. So that pro tip: if you want
Yeah.
your Google business profile to flourish, you want your local service ads, you want your website to flourish, you want your phone to ring, having some stories on Reddit, and especially, Ian, if you can have people that wrote them, like, who's the best deck guy in Kansas City, and like
Yeah.
your people chime in, like, that is gold.
That's what's been going on. Thank you. Upstairs. you know,
Right.
Yeah.
maybe it's supposed to happen this way, whatever it is. So that's just the way we're going with it. Yeah, man.
I love it. I love it. Well, what I would like to do is jump on another podcast with you where we do a deep dive into the marketing aspect of your business. Michael, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think especially so one thing is you want to build momentum, right? You don't want
Yeah.
to lose that momentum, especially if you got people who are writing the reviews and writing the Reddit stuff. What happens is people will look you up as well, right? They'll be like, "Oh, who is this guy?" Right? And just want to make sure your website is slamming. I love your website. There's a couple things that I would add just
Yeah.
for social proof, things like that, but nothing too major. You said you were a design guy, so I figured you designed it, or you said art. I was like, wow, this thing looks immaculate. But yeah, I think you should look into, I don't know if you're doing social media stuff. There's like free stuff you can do and there's paid stuff you can do, right?
Yeah.
And the biggest thing aside of getting a referral, it is people are going to want to see what this guy's doing, how busy is he legit, is it real? And having, we'll call it the social proof, and that stuff is just like you could post before and afters, of course, in the world that we live in, it is a social world. And if someone initially is going to look you up, they're probably going to read the Reddit, and then they're going to go to Google and they're going to type in your name. And the question is, where are you coming in that ranking? Because sometimes people will beat you. And if you have some organic stuff, if you have some paid stuff, like there's a lot of stuff that you could do. And I think the worst part, I think where businesses of, miss the area of opportunity is with this momentum piece and just having your stuff up to date, being proactive about the organic stuff. Because what happens is when you need when you don't need marketing right now, but when you need marketing, it's like, oh my gosh, now I got to do all this stuff to try to catch up to where I was, and that's not always the best.
Yeah.
It's not a good feeling, and sometimes it's like starting from behind. But since you have so much momentum, I think there's a couple things that we can show you both from a paid perspective or organic perspective to help you to get your
Yeah,
business
we're
going.
working on all the organic stuff in the background. My call volume has increased by people trying to, telemarketing, telling me my stuff's wrong. The social media platform I'm on mainly is Instagram. I also am on Facebook. All the videos, like I said before, that you see, the photos, those are all me. I taught myself the editing software, the photography, like I said, that
Nice.
comes from that background.
Nice.
So yeah, how did you
Very
guys
That's
find out
very
about
important
me?
strategy. That's traffic we earn, right? You building that following on the gram or on Facebook or wherever you're putting that. Which, you know what, they honestly, if you did the video, it should be on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, Facebook Reels,
Yeah.
all of those things. Because you already built it, you just got to upload it. And this is part of the leverage piece too. Is like, if we want to take this, let's say, we're going to get together again and we're going to go over a big, huge, aggressive goal. Let's say you want to take this to $5 million a year. You want to get
Mhm.
to $5 million a year. you can't be the one
Yeah.
uploading these into Facebook and Instagram, these different places, because we got to think of like, what's our hourly wage? If I'm going to 5 million bucks a year, that's huge. That's huge. I can't be doing $15 an hour work.
Yep.
I can't be doing $40 an hour work. I have to be doing the things that I'm building the business. I'm pouring into my guys. We're building this empire. Those are the things I got to focus on. And so it's that mindset shift.
Yep. Right now, with building all that stuff up, that's what I'm looking at and exploring. And I would like to say, I don't want to jinx myself, but I would like to say all of a sudden, I'm going to be one of those people that walks around. It's like all of a sudden he was this small, and now he's, affecting thousands of people. How did you guys hear about me? Because this is interesting to me how you guys actually came to figure out
You
about
were
me.
recommended to us through the people that actually searched the different contractors, and so there was some group, they pulled you up. Maybe it was the beard, like, I didn't even know the beard was legit, but, like, Zach, this is the one, and so I definitely lean very conservative too, and so, we didn't talk a ton about that, and I'm friends with liberals and whatever, right? Like, so there's just a good fit, faith-based businesses are huge to me because, we can have a bigger impact than just doing a good product or a service, and we're impacting lives with it too, and so why not have both with it? So you were recommended by some of the staff that searches out for people.
Yeah. One thing I like about the Instagram for me personally, it's kind of like you generate your own receipts. And I'd like to think, Alex Ramosi talks a lot about his past and how he built it up, and you can learn a lot from him like that. My biggest go-to guys, Andy Frisella and Ed Milet. I was part of some of their programs.
Nice.
And that's something that I think for long term, maybe when I get to be 50 or 60 years old, I'm going to have all these receipts of all these things that showcase people where I'm at. I got, multiple different layers of hats right below me from when I started out as Reddick Construction to now where I'm Patriot. I'm building out a timeline also with that. And that's going to be for an ultimate bigger picture to help motivate people such as these people have motivated me. I just bought the new meta glasses. They're sitting here right in front of me for first person videos. I wanted to get really intricate into why we're doing specifically what we're doing, to show people that who are on. Just little short things to also in the way just to give people tips and tricks to help do things themselves. Cause I figured out all this stuff on my own. I didn't have anyone help me. I did all this.
I love it. I love it. I hear a giver is what I'm hearing. That's what you are. That, what Zig Ziglar, I don't know if you ever read any of his stuff, but he says you can have whatever you want in the world if you help enough other people get it. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's through that giving. And then we get to receive.
Can I say
One
something?
thing I've noted. Yeah, go ahead, Michael. Sorry.
Well, I was on the giving part of it. I will tell you something changed my life about 3 or 4 years ago. A guy came to me and he said, who are the three? If there's three people, the givers, the takers, and the matchers, who are the most successful and the least successful? And I recently heard Tony Robbins say this too, right? I was like, wait, this other guy told me that. And he asked me that question. I'm thinking, and I said, well, the most successful people I thought would be probably the takers, right? The people who just get everything. That's what I thought. And then I said, the least successful people are the givers because all they're doing is giving. And he said it was kind of a trick question in a sense. He said, because it's all about who you match with, right? He said, if a giver matches with another giver, they have explosive, results because they're giving to each other. They're not, it's not one way or the other. He said, but it's also, on the other hand, the least successful person is also the giver because if they connect with a taker, all they're doing is giving and they don't get nothing back. And if they connect with a matcher, then the relationship feels a little like dirty, right? Like the matcher only wants to do something if they get something out of it. When a giver meets another giver, they have explosive results. Me and Zach are givers. So if he's already recognizing that you are a giver, I think whatever this relationship looks like, I would love to pursue it because it's very hard to find other people who give. Reluctantly, we've found a few of those and it's been great. It's been great.
The questioning in your mind if you're always doing the right thing. So
Yeah.
I think it just froze up. So on that note, we're
On that
going to do a
note.
deep dive and schedule that this week on Ian's business. And we'll go from there. I'm excited.
And if other people want to do a deep dive, cruxlocal.com. Let's set up a call.
Local.com, where we think big, we have power tools, and we have profit.
Yeah.
Let's go.
CRUXlocal.com.
See you, everybody.